My brain stalled. It took a full 5 seconds for the reality to process. I clamped both hands over my mouth, strangling the scream that clawed at my throat. Tristan's head rolled. It stopped, facing the closet. His eyes were open. Glassy. Vacant. Staring right at me, Gwendolyn began to work. She was efficient. Terrifyingly so. Like a butcher in a slaughterhouse. Limbs first. Then smaller sections. She moved to the kitchen. The same kitchen where Tristan had poured me wine an hour ago. She set up a large pot. I didn't need to see it to know what was happening. The first batch of meat went into the water. Bile rose in my throat. The stench of blood and boiling meat began to fill the apartment. Panic and nausea warred for dominance. I couldn't think. What do I do? Police. I need the police. I fumbled for my phone. Dead. Black screen. I peered through the slats of the closet door. Tristan's phone. It had fallen into the crevice of the sofa. I could use his phone. I tried to stand. My legs were jelly. I stumbled. My head hit the closet door with a dull thud. The chopping in the kitchen stopped instantly. The text message flashed in my mind. The mistress dies tonight. I had thought it was a prank. Now I knew. It was a promise. Regret was useless now. Gwendolyn walked out of the bedroom. In her hand was a heavy cleaver. She walked toward the closet. Step. By. Step. My teeth were chattering so hard I thought they would shatter. I bit down on my tongue until I tasted copper. The closet door was yanked open. Empty. Gwendolyn stood there, the cleaver dripping onto the floor. A drop of blood landed on my cheek. I was under the bed, right next to the closet. If she crouched down. If she just lowered her head 6 inches. She would see me. 1 second. 2 seconds. An eternity. She turned around. She walked away. The chopping resumed. I scrambled out from under the bed. I crawled to the sofa. Tristan's phone. Passcode. What was his passcode? Think, Bridget. Think. I typed in a sequence. Incorrect. Another one. Incorrect. Third try. Click. Unlocked. I almost sobbed with relief. I opened the messaging app. I couldn't call. She would hear me. I had to text 911. My fingers were shaking so violently I could barely hit the keys. I fumbled. My thumb hit the lock button. The screen went black. I cursed silently, a scream of frustration trapped in my chest. I raised the phone to unlock it again and froze. The black screen acted as a mirror. It reflected 2 faces. Mine. Pale, terrified, and behind me. Gwendolyn. The chopping sound was still coming from the kitchen. A recording? But Gwendolyn was standing right behind me. Her eyes were huge. Black holes. Staring at me through the reflection. Didn't you get my text? She whispered. Silence. Then, I screamed. I lunged for the door. Something hard and heavy slammed into the back of my skull. The world spun and went dark. I drifted in and out. Being dragged. Gwendolyn. She was incredibly strong. She dragged me like I was a bag of laundry. She dumped me into the bathtub. Do you love him? She asked, her voice devoid of emotion. My hands and feet were bound. I couldn't stop shaking. Gwendolyn stood up. She walked toward me. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for the bite of the blade. The doorbell rang. Gwendolyn set the cleaver down. Clink. She grabbed a hand towel, shoving it between my teeth before I could scream. Then, she smoothed her hair and opened the door. A man walked in. He froze when he saw her, his voice tight with panic. Gwen. You're back? I knew that voice. Cody. Tristan's friend. The creep from downstairs. I'd met him in the elevator earlier today. His eyes had crawled up my legs, lingering on my skirt like a physical touch. It made my skin crawl. When I told Tristan, he just laughed. Cody's just a dog, babe. But don't worry. He knows you're mine. He wouldn't dare. I hated Cody. But right now, he was my only hope. I lashed out with my foot. My heel connected hard with the vanity cabinet. Thud. A heavy bottle of body wash crashed onto the tiled floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Silence in the living room. Gwen. Cody's voice wavered. Is Tristan in the bathroom? I struggled against the ropes. Come here. Please. Fate seemed to be listening. Footsteps. Heavy. Coming closer, but he stopped. Cody. Gwendolyn's voice was soft. I know about the affair. The footsteps halted. Cody stammered, looking for a lie, but Gwendolyn didn't scream. She didn't cry. She moved. I heard the rustle of fabric. She was hugging him from behind. If Tristan can cheat, she purred, her voice low and dangerous, then so can I. Cody, haven't you always wanted a taste? I lay in the bathtub, tears leaking from my eyes, listening to the sick play unfolding in the living room. Heavy breathing. The wet sound of a mouth opening. Cody grabbed her. His hands tangled in her hair and then, he squeezed. You lying bitch. Cody roared. Tristan warned me. You're all the same. Can't trust a single one of you. Gurgling sounds. She was choking. Then, a heavy thump. Silence. Cody had thrown her onto the sofa. Footsteps pounded toward the bathroom. Tristan. Bro. He kicked the door open. His eyes were wild, expecting to find his friend. Instead, he found me. Bound. Gagged. Terrified. Where is he? He screamed, spit flying. I couldn't speak. I widened my eyes, frantically darting my gaze over his shoulder. Cody rushed forward. He ripped the towel from my mouth. Behind you. I rasped. My throat felt like sandpaper. Behind? Confusion clouded his face. Tristan is behind me. Then, the realization hit him. He saw the reflection in my wide, terrified eyes. Not Tristan, Gwendolyn. Cody tried to turn. Too late. The blade erupted from his chest. A sharp, red point punched through his sternum, glistening with blood. Cody collapsed. Heavy. Dead weight. I screamed. A raw, animalistic sound that tore at my vocal cords. Gwendolyn glanced at me. Her expression was bored. She picked up the towel and stuffed it back into my mouth. Then, she went to work on Cody. Just like she had with Tristan. Time dissolved into a blur of horror. I must have blacked out. When I opened my eyes again, the apartment was silent. Gwendolyn stood across from me. I flinched, my body convulsing against the porcelain tub. She didn't look at me. She turned on the shower. She washed the blood off her skin. Calmly. Methodically. She changed into fresh clothes. The blood-soaked silk dress went into the toilet bowl. She burned it, flushing the ash away. Only then did she crouch in front of me. Eye level. Do you love him? I started to cry. I didn't know why I was crying. I murmured, no, I don't love him. It was actually the truth. But I didn't know if Gwendolyn would believe me. And I didn't know if she would let me go. Gwendolyn stood up. She walked to the living room and returned with a glass of red wine. Drink. I looked at the dark liquid. Then at her. I had no choice. I swallowed the wine. 10 minutes later, the world faded to black.